In this video, we're going to talk about InsMark digital workbook files and how they can help you learn the InsMark presentations used in the InsMark blogs and how you can go to the InsMark software and recreate these presentations for your clients. Before we start to talk about exactly how you download these workbook files, I just want to mention a couple quick things. First of all, we're going to be focusing on blog 122, Term Insurance for $1, and blog 121, which we'll get to in a minute. But the principles of what we're talking about, downloading workbook files, will apply to any InsMark blogs where InsMark presentations are actually used. In some cases, there are some InsMark blogs that don't have InsMark presentations, and so workbook files will only be available for those blogs where there's actually InsMark presentations. Second thing I want to cover before we get started on how to download these workbook files is if you have not gone to the new Learn InsMark, or if you go down a little dog reading the book, The Quickest Way to Learn InsMark, those both go to the same place. If you haven't gone to this new Quickest Way to Learn InsMark inner page, I strongly encourage you to go to this page and review the material here. You'll see there's a video, easy as 1, 2, 3, and it really walks you through the quickest way to learn InsMark, which will save you a lot of time. So in any event, I'm going to go back to blog 122. Here I am. And as you read through this blog, you'll notice, like many of the blogs, we have a sample case study of a client who was considering buying term insurance, and here is some of the output. As you can see here, we can click to see within the blog, and there's the presentation that we created, which there's your cover sheet, come down here and some nice graphics, and then here's your numbers page where we're recommending a $16,703 premium for 5 years. The client is saying, well, I'm thinking about term insurance, and so the response is, well, what if you could buy term insurance, $500,000 of term insurance for $1 a year? How would the Index Universal Life do in that case? And as you can see out in year 30, the side fund has $207,000 in it, where the Index Universal Life has $416,000. So even if you could buy term insurance for $1 a year, this is showing you still wouldn't do it. The power of Index Universal Life. And so if you scroll down, you can see the next 30 years of data, and then here's the graphics. And this is a really nice presentation. Then the obvious question comes up. Okay, I see what you're talking about in the blog. I see the presentations that you created. But how can I learn how to do these presentations in the InsMark software? And so that's what we're going to cover today. So as I scroll down to the workbook file, InsMark digital workbook files section, you're going to see right below there, blog 122.zip. This is what you click if you want to download the workbook file for this particular blog. If you want all of the workbook files for all the blogs that have InsMark presentations, you'd click the green button. Now, what I'm going to show you is I'm currently in the Chrome browser, and each of these browsers deals with this downloading a little bit differently. And so I'm going to start here with Chrome and show you how it works. So what I would do is I'm just going to download this zip file for blog 122. I click on it, and then as you can see down here, it's downloaded it. And then over here, I can click on Show All Downloads. So I click, and then it brings up the file, and I click on the blog 122. And there you have it. There's your workbook file. And before I click on it, I just want to show you it's located in the downloads directory, and everybody has a little different computer setup, but I'm going to show you sort of where that is. If you look at that, you'll see that's typically the path is computer OS and then /users/owner/downloads. So when you download it, your computer will typically put it in a directory like that. If that's confusing to you, just ask your IT person, where your downloads folder is. And one other real quick thing before we move on. Our workbook files have different extensions depending on which InsMark software system was used to create that presentation. So capital II is the InsMark illustration system. WW is Wealthy and Wise. LC is a leverage compensation system. LS is loan-based split dollar. PF is a premium financing system. And so on this particular one that we downloaded, you can see that it's II. So this worksheet is for the InsMark illustration system. Now, here's an important point. If you do not have the InsMark illustration system and you click on this workbook file, it will just come up with an error message. It won't work. So these workbook files are to be downloaded to your computer and then uploaded into the InsMark software product that they correspond to. So for example, if you only have Wealthy and Wise and you bring in a exclamation point II workbook file and you click on it, you don't have the InsMark illustration system. It's not going to work. So if you need one or more of the InsMark software products for a particular blog presentation that you want, just contact InsMark and you can find out what's involved in getting that particular software product. Anyway, I'm going to show you kind of how this works. I'm going to click on this and now it's uploading that workbook file into my InsMark illustration system. It's asking me here, do I want to keep the name for this workbook file blog 122? That's fine. Great. And then what you're going to see is this is the section where we have the workbook file. This is for workbook file blog 122. As you can see, there's two presentations. So the first one is the IUL versus term and aside fund. So all I do is double click on it and it brings up the permanent versus term module and then all of the entries that I entered to create that presentation in the blog. Here's all the stuff I entered in the investment details section, side fund at 7% and so on. Term insurance details I'm going to enter, and then I entered the $1 a year as my total term premium. Here's where I put in my $500,000 of death benefit. And then I finally get over to report selections. Here's all the available reports that I could choose from, and here are the ones that I actually used. So then if I just want to see this, I click preview. And here we're going to see the exact same presentation we looked at before. And I'll show you here if I go over here. Here's your 5-pay premium. Here's that $207,000 versus $416,000. Here's all the graphs we saw before. Same exact presentation that we showed in the blog. So if I close out of this and I say I'm done, the other presentation in this blog was term insurance instead of a side fund. It was term insurance and an equity account. So again, well, how do you do that in the InsMark system? Double click. Here it shows exactly what we entered. Investment, there's our equity account. Here's how we entered the management fees. Again, term insurance. Click over to report selections. Going a little quicker now. There's the presentations, the different reports we decided to use. Click preview. And there you have it. Presentation again. Again, if I click over here, I'm going to have my 5-pay premium, my equity fund. And it's clearly doing better out over 30 years, 400,000 versus 416, but I'll bet we start taking income out. Yep, the equity fund gets driven to zero by age 77, 76, and the index universal life is still going strong. So the idea is that with these workbook files, you can instantly see everything that we did in the InsMark illustration system or whichever InsMark software product, Wealthy and Wise or what have you, to create that presentation in that blog. So I'm just going to exit out of this and I'm going to go back here and delete these two workbook files just to show you a couple different things. Okay, so if I go back to the blog 122, now what happens if I want to download all the workbook files for all the blogs rather than just the workbook file for this particular blog? Well, I can do that. I can click on this green button that says download all workbook files for all blogs. So I click on that. And then as you'll see down here, that's a lot of information. So it's going to take a few seconds to download all of those different workbook files. I've got 20 seconds left. And again, I'm using Chrome. This process is a little different with Firefox and a little different with Windows Explorer. And I'm going to show you that in a second just to kind of give you a sense of it. 5 seconds. Okay, we're almost done. So it's downloading all the workbook files from all the blogs that we've ever done. So now it's done, and I'm going to click over here on Chrome, Show All Downloads. All right, and I'm going to click on All Workbook Zip. And what we've done is in your Downloads folder on your hard disk, we have all of our different blogs in folders. And then inside each folder, we have the workbook file. So if we go to, say, blog 122, and I click on it, well, there's my blog workbook file for the InsMark illustration system, the one we looked at before. So pretty straightforward stuff. Again, I'm going to delete this. Now, all I'm going to do is show you how this works with different browsers. So I'm going to go over to Windows Explorer and show you it works a little bit differently So if I click on blog 122 zip, well, watch what it does. You see, it comes up with a different window. So I'm just going to say save. Again, this is Windows Explorer. And then I'm going to click open folder. So it's just a little different. And then there's your blog 122. So in a zip file, click it, and there's your workbook file. So if you clicked on that, it would come up. So again, going to go back, delete this. And now I'm going to show you one other example of how this works on Firefox, because it's a little different. So here we are in Firefox. I'm going to click on, again, blog 122 zip file. And it says, okay, what do you want to do? I want to save. And then it kind of makes you go up and click on this little arrow, which is kind of hidden, a little confusing. Click on the arrow, and then I'm going to click on the blog 122 zip. And there it is in my downloads file and ready to go, ready to be clicked on. Last thing I'll show you is, let me get back over here and delete this. Last thing I'm going to show you is some of our blogs have presentations from more than one InsMark software product, and I'm going to show you that right now. So we're currently in blog 122. I'm going to go to the blog archives and find blog 121, which is right there. Okay, and there's our blog. And in this particular blog, this had presentations from both the InsMark illustration system and Wolf UI. So if I come down here to my InsMark digital workbook file section, and I'm going to download from blog 121, I'm going to click on that, save file. I'm still okay, so I'm still in Firefox browser, that's fine. Click here, click on blog 121, and what you're going to see is there's a workbook file for the exclamation II, which is the InsMark illustration system, but there's also a workbook file, exclamation WW, for the Wolf UI software. So there's presentations. If you read the blog 121, you're going to see, and it's a great blog, it has some great stuff about IRAs and Roths. Anyways, there's presentations from both of those InsMark software programs, and with these two workbook files, you can load those into those two InsMark software products and see exactly what we did to create the presentations from inside blog 121. So that is a quick review on how to use the InsMark digital workbook files.